One of Australia's most enduring mystery person cases has finally been solved using DNA. Hi, this is Anthony. Welcome back to my show. I promise to keep this video extremely short with just the basic facts. As I launch into the video, as always, please subscribe if you haven't already, and also click the like button and hopefully comment at the end. On the 1st of December 1948, a body was found on the beach of Somerton Park, a suburb of Adelaide, the capital of South Australia. The cause of death was not readily apparent and had no identification on him. While the case is usually known as the Somerton Man, it is also known after the Persian phrase tamam shud, meaning it is over or it is finished, which was printed on a scrap of paper found months later in the fob pocket of the man's trousers. The scrap had been torn from the final page of a copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Following a public appeal by police, the book from which the page had been torn was located. On the inside back cover, detectives read through the indentations left from previous handwriting, a local telephone number, another unidentified number, and text that resembled a coded message. The text has not been deciphered or interpreted in a way that satisfies authorities on the case. The phone number was traced to a local nurse who denied knowing the deceased man, although acted very strangely when she was shown the plastered death cast of his head and upper body. There was also speculation that she might have been a Soviet spy, and therefore the Somerton Man may also have been a spy and possibly was liquidated by the precursor to the KGB. This was a time that the Soviets were very interested in Australia due to nuclear weapons research being carried on there, so that hypothesis is not as far-fetched as it may seem. The code that was found has not been satisfactorily deciphered, and if the deceased was a spy, would not necessarily be out of the ordinary that he might have some encoded information. However, there are other explanations for what seems to be a code. But here's the exciting breakthrough. On the 26th of July, 2022, Adelaide University professor Derek Abbott, in association with genealogist Colleen M. Fitzpatrick, claimed to have identified the man as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker born on November 16, 1905, based on genetic genealogy from DNA of the man's hair. He was the youngest of 6 children of Richard August Webb and Eliza Amelia Morris Grace. South Australia Police and Forensic Science South Australia have not verified the result, but South Australia Police said that they were cautiously optimistic about it. Webb had resided in the state of Victoria and had a brother-in-law named Thomas Keane, who lived a 20-minute drive away from him, which would explain the name on some of the clothes linked to the Somerton Man. No death record for Webb exists. His last known records date to April 1947, when he left his wife Dorothy, after which she filed for divorce. According to Abbott, Webb had possibly tried to track her down in Adelaide. Abbott's research indicates Webb enjoyed betting on horses, thus the coded message could be horse names. Webb was also fond of poetry and written some of his own, explaining the copy of the Rubaiyat. However, none of Webb's still living relatives had known him in person, nor are there any known pre-death photographs of him as of July 2022. Though photographs of Webb's brother, Roy Webb, who died as a prisoner of war during World War II, are said to resemble the Somerton Man. So this case seems to be solved now. At this point, I haven't heard anyone argue that there's not enough evidence to argue against Webb, or technically one of his brothers, to have not been the Somerton Man. But what does this case tell us about other cases of mysterious identity? What can we learn from this one that helps us in identifying who D.B. Cooper or the Zodiac or who Jack the Ripper was? Certainly, in this case, Webb was somebody who was never a suspect. The Somerton Man was somewhat unique in that there was not a whole host of suspects, actually only 1 or 2. But it shows that for the aforementioned unknown persons, Cooper, Zodiac, the Ripper, that the true perpetrator of the crimes may not be any of the people who have currently been identified. In the case of the Zodiac, there are letters which were sent to 2 newspapers, which are believed to have been sent by the actual Zodiac killer, since they contained parts of the shirt of one of his victims. My understanding is the DNA from the stamps have been obtained, and while they haven't connected with anyone yet, certainly with genetic genealogy, we might come up with credible suspects in the future. The issue of the mysterious coded writing of the Somerton Man may well not be a cipher of a Russian spy, but rather just jotting down the initial letters of horses that ran in a certain race on a particular day. There still does seem to be some connection, even if a slight one, between the Somerton Man, or Charles Webb, and the nurse who denied knowing him, although there is a possibility that she may have known his ex-wife, and that's why he potentially had tried to contact her, rather than them being part of a Soviet espionage ring. So the exotic, although not an entirely unreasonable hypothesis that the body could have been a liquidated Soviet spy, seems not to be the case, and so we need to be careful when we're looking at other cases not to extrapolate too much from what we think might be evidence that was left at the scene. For instance, the exotic metals that have recently been found on the clip-on tie left by D.B. Cooper could mean that he worked at a specific aerospace facility that utilized titanium, or he could have bought an out-of-style tie at a garage sale from someone else who worked with exotic metals and had no connection to them himself. Okay, that's all I want to say for today. I'd love to hear from you. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you disagree with me, please feel free to point out weaknesses in my arguments. Hopefully by now, you've subscribed to this channel and liked this video. I would love it if you looked at my other videos. Hopefully click the like button on those and leave a comment, even a short one. All those things help me out in building a following. Thanks for watching.